Last night, on President Trump's orders,
Let's
U.S.
see what
Central
this
Command
undergrad
conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against 3 nuclear
first year
facilities in Iran,
debate
Fordo,
course
Natanz, and Esfahan, in order to
explanation is
destroy
going to be.
or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. But it's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of his time in office, President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that Iran must not get a nuclear weapon. Full stop.
And Netanyahu
Thanks to President Trump's bold and
has been
visionary
trying to
leadership
get
and his
America
commitment to peace
to ensure
through
that doesn't
strength,
happen
Iran's nuclear ambitions
for almost
have
30
been
years.
obliterated. Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could
You see, America thinks
until President Trump.
conventional
the operation
warfare
President Trump planned was bold,
is the
and it
way
was brilliant,
to win your objective.
showing the world that American deterrence is
That's not where it's
back.
going to come.
When this president speaks, the world should listen. And the U.S. military, we can back it up.
Now they're going to
The
resort to
most
terrorism.
powerful military the world has ever known. No other country on planet Earth could have conducted the operation that the chairman is going to outline this morning. Not even close. Just like Soleimani found out in
American
the first
bluster.
term. Iran found out when POTUS says
Braggadocious.
60 days that he seeks peace and negotiation, he means 60 days of peace and negotiation.
That shit is going to
Otherwise,
get a whole bunch of
that nuclear
motherfuckers killed.
program, that nuclear capability will not exist. He meant it. This is not the previous administration. The President Trump said no nukes. He seeks peace, and Iran should take that path. He sent out a truth last night saying this: any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Signed, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Iran would be smart to heed those words. He said it before, and he means it. I want to give recognition to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Joint Staff, General Eric Kurilla at CENTCOM, who did a phenomenal job, he and his staff, all of CENTCOM. Policy across the board, this was a joint effort, and across the Pentagon effort.
Does this
I
cat
want to recognize the pilots
instill
who flew
confidence
those bombers, who flew those
at all
fighters,
on
who
any
flew
level?
those refuelers, warriors. I want to recognize the sailors
That the
on those
U.S. military
destroyers, in
is
those
going to be
subs,
in a
on those
position
carriers, warriors, all of them.
to
I
be
want to
ready
recognize our soldiers doing air defense,
to
base
carry
defense,
out anything
QRF,
that needs to be
warriors,
carried out
all
as a
of them.
result of
Every
this.
American involved in this operation performed flawlessly.
This dude is a
And I
drunken
want to
frat
give
cat,
recognition
man.
to our allies in Israel as well. This is a plan that took months and weeks
And
of
he's running the
positioning
most
and
powerful
preparation so that we could be ready
military
when
machine
the
that's ever
President
been
of the United
created.
States called. It took a great deal of precision. It involved misdirection and the highest of operational security.
Yeah,
RPGs
misdirection.
went in and out
They
of
use that a
downtown
lot.
Tehran, not Tehran, excuse me, of these nuclear sites, in and out and back without the world knowing at all. In that way, it was historic. A strike that included the longest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001 and the first operational employment of the MOP, a massive ordnance penetrator. The mission demonstrated to the world the level of joint and allied integration that speak to the strength of our alliance and our joint forces.
I want to see the aftermath pics.
As President Trump has stated, the United States does not seek war, but let me be clear.
I want to see what they
We
hit
will act swiftly and decisively when our people,
and how precise.
our partners, or our interests
They hit
are
those
threatened.
targets.
Iran should listen to the President of the United States and know that he means it, every word. I want to give congratulations to our Commander-in-Chief. It was an honor to watch him lead last night and throughout, and to our great American warriors on this successful operation. God bless our troops. God bless America. And we give glory to God for his providence
Oh, no,
and
don't
continue
do that.
to ask for his protection. I turn it over now
Don't
to the
do
chairman
that.
for specifics.
You just bought into why Israel has been getting destroyed. They've been disobedient, going against what God has told them to do since the inception.
Last night on the President's orders, U.S. Central Command, under the
God ain't got
command of
nothing to do with
General
this.
executed Operation Midnight Hammer, a deliberate and precise strike
And he's about to
against
show you
3
why.
Iranian nuclear facilities. This was a complex
America,
and
you are
high-risk
in
mission
trouble.
carried out with exceptional skill and
There's no other way
discipline
to
by
put
our
it.
joint force. I want to thank every service member,
There's no coming
planner,
back from this.
operator that made this mission possible.
And when I say
Their actions
this,
reflect the highest standards of the
I mean
United
giving
States
somebody
Armed
like
Forces.
Donald Trump
This operation was designed to severely degrade
keys
Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure.
to-
it was
to
planned and
a
executed
vehicle
across multiple
that he
domains
has
and
never been
theaters
qualified
with coordination that reflects our ability to project
drive.
power globally with
Be at
speed
the helm
and
of.
precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan.
And this is just
I'll
spin.
refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of the plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific as a decoy, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package.
Why
at
isn't
high
Hegseth giving
altitude
this
and high
briefing?
speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile
It's because
threats.
he's incapable.
The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command,
He's not knowledgeable
U.S.
enough.
Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command,
He's
U.S.
incompetent.
Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the
I
strike
would say all of
package
the above.
approached Fordo and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive
What a
suppressing
painful time to
fires
be in
against
America.
any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently
And I'm a
unaware
black man.
of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordo. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 mobs dropped against 2 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise. In total, U.S. forces employed approximately 75 precision-guided weapons during this operation. This included, as the President stated last night, 14 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, marking the first ever operational use of this weapon.
How much were they
I know that battle damage is of great interest.
per bomb?
Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction. More than 125 U.S. aircraft participated in this mission, including B-2 stealth bombers, multiple flights of 4th and 5th
See,
generation
this is just a
fighters,
repeat
dozens
of
and dozens
what he was trying to
of
do with that
air-fueling
parade.
tankers, a guided missile
American
submarine,
power,
and a
American
full
supremacy,
array of intelligence,
American
surveillance,
superiority.
and reconnaissance aircraft, as well as hundreds of maintenance
This is
and
what this is
operational
about, man.
professionals. As the Secretary said, this was the largest B-2 operational
And if you think
strike
these people
in
want
US
to be
history,
superior
and
on
the
a global
second
stage,
longest B-2 mission ever flown, exceeded only by
What do you think
those
they
in
want?
the days following 9/11.
to be on a domestic
Well,
stage?
prior to the strike, General Kurilla elevated force protection.
You think they're not gonna
measures across
use
the
these
region,
same
especially in
tactics
Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf.
On a smaller scale
Our forces remain on high alert
here in
and are
this
fully
country
postured
against its
to
own
respond
people
to
who
any
it deems
Iranian
to be
retaliation or proxy attacks, which would be
enemies,
an incredibly poor
threats.
choice. We will defend ourselves. The safety of our service members and civilians remains our highest
man.
priority. This mission demonstrates the unmatched reach, coordination, and capability of the United States military. In just a matter of weeks, this went from strategic planning to global execution.
They're going to
This
find that the
operation
military is going to be
underscores
obsolete
the unmatched capabilities
in wars
and
going
global
forward
reach
because
of
they're
the
not going to
United
be
States
fought
As
the
the
conventional way.
President clearly said last night,
It's going to be
no
done
other
through
in the
cyber.
military- no other military in
It's
the
going to be
world
done through
could have
small
done this.
one-off attacks.
I join the President and the
Suicide
Secretary in
attacks.
being incredibly proud of the
Don't
air
give a
crews,
fuck attacks.
naval forces, cyber operators, planners, and support
You
teams.
see, because
and
small
commanders who made
small
this
things
mission
like that in
possible.
America fucks up
It
the
is
American
their skill,
economy.
discipline, and teammate.
It doesn't have to be
teamwork that
anything
makes this
major.
operation possible. I am particularly proud.
September
of our
11th, they only killed, what,
discipline
3,000 to 4,000
operational
people?
security, something that was of
We
great
still ain't
concern
recovered from
to the
that.
President, the Secretary, General Kurilla,
Almost
and
30
me,
years
and
later.
we will continue to focus on this. As we stand here this morning, many assets are still airborne, and we have hundreds deployed. I ask that we keep our warfighters on their way home and our deployed service member in our thoughts. Our joint force remains ready to defend the United States, our troops, and our interests in the region. Thank you very much.
We will take a few questions.
So, is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary?
Nothing's off the
Chairman,
table.
you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission has not been about regime change. The President authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
Thanks for your question. I think BDA is still pending, and it would be way too early for me to comment on what may or may not still be there. But thanks for the question.
Yeah, great,
Thanks for the question.
great. No, behind you.
Excuse me, Secretary, can you tell me, was there a particular moment when the president decided to pull the trigger on this operation, where he said, now, rather than being, something in the holster, now we're gonna pull the trigger on it?
I would just say, having the opportunity to witness his leadership, he was fully committed to the peace process. Wanted a negotiated outcome, gave Iran every single opportunity, and unfortunately was met by stonewalling, which is why he gave them plenty of time to continue to come to the table and give up enrichment, give up the nuclear program. But there was I won't say the particular moment, there was certainly a moment in time where he realized that it had to be a certain action taken in order to minimize the threat to us and our troops.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
He's been planning to do this since him and Netanyahu teamed up.
Gulf and those areas. Were they given any advance warning the attacks were coming?
Just like he's been planning
Mr. Secretary, what were congressional leaders
to invade the streets and the hoods of America.
Sir, to your first question,
To destroy any
the risk has
dissent
clearly been rising over the last few weeks
against his
in the
administration.
region. Based on that, and not a particular awareness of this operation.
We just 6 months
smart
in, y'all.
decisions to minimize the risk to U.S.
We got
forces
3.5 years at least
No, sir.
Congressional
left of this
They were
bullshit.
notified after the planes were safely out. Well, we complied with the notification requirements.
Unless, of course, God decides otherwise,
They were
and
immediately thereafter. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary.
makes things happen.
Do you believe you completely destroyed Iranian nuclear program? And how
Which I
about
think is
Iranian ballistic missiles? Your ally
quite likely the case.
always saying that is biggest threat. And second question is very important. What will be your next step if Iran or militias under Iranian influence in the region attack U.S. interests or allies in the region?
That's what they want.
And you can chime in on this too, Mr. Chairman. The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect, which means especially in Fordo, which was the primary target here, we believe we achieved destruction of capabilities there. Ultimately, wherever it may be, whether it's in Iraq or Syria or bases in the Gulf, as the president said, it would be as the chairman said, it would be a very bad idea for Iran or its proxies to attempt to attack American forces. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Regarding retaliations, Iran and North Korea are cooperating on nuclear and missile development. Do you think there is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join
And Russia.
forces to retaliate against the United States?
Don't forget Russia.
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove
No.
those
Stop that
countries together.
Stop that
and
shit.
Ultimately, that creates a challenge.
Biden is not president.
For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran.
Quit blaming all the shit that you can't
That's
get
our
done
focus here is to not just
on the
say
previous
that it can't
administration.
happen. President Trump has said from over 20
That's a
years,
bitch move.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And ultimately, he decided this is the moment, given their stonewalling, when direct military action had to be taken to prevent that from happening. Yes.
Just repeat the same old shit.
I understand OPSEC, I respect OPSEC. Can you say at all what security procedures are being taken to protect U.S. troops in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East? And Secretary Hegseth, as a global war on terrorism veteran, what do you say to veterans who may be concerned the U.S. is getting into another open-ended war in the Middle East over weapons of mass destruction?
That don't exist.
Thanks, sir, for the question. I won't comment on what force protection measures are being taken in the region. What I will say is
General
we're being
Dan Raisin
and
Kane.
not reactive.
You know,
and being
they
very
love that
thoughtful
type
about
shit.
ensuring that we do all that we can to protect our forces out there.
And I would just say, as the president has directed and made clear, this is most certainly not open-ended. It doesn't mean it limits our ability to respond. We will respond if necessary. The most powerful military in the world
It is
postured
open-ended.
and prepared to defend our people.
Unless you
What
think
the
they're just going to say
President
fuck
gave us, as I
it
said, was a focused,
and not respond.
powerful, and clear mission on the destruction of Iranian nuclear capabilities. Those were the targets. That's what was struck. That was overwhelming. That's what was overwhelming. That's what the Iranian
Keep
regime
hammering
needs to
on the point.
understand. As the president put out last night, he wants peace. There needs to be a negotiated
Deflect
settlement here.
from the reality.
We ultimately demonstrated that
And
Iran
hammer
cannot
home the
have
point.
nuclear capability. That is a very clear mission set on this operation. Yes, hold on. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Question for the Secretary and the Chairman. How is this strike coordinated with the Israelis on a strategic level, militarily, and on a tactical level? Was there any direct Israeli military participation in this operation?
Well, I would say certainly Israel had an incredible military success, especially at the beginning and ongoing, in degrading Iranian capabilities, in degrading Iranian launchers, MRBMs. It's been incredible to watch what our ally Israel has been able to do. And there certainly have been conversations. I mean, General Kurilla at CENTCOM has worked closely in the defense of Israel for many years. And part of this operation was the defense of Israel and the ongoing defense of Israel. But as it pertains to this strike, this was U.S. operated and U.S. led.
We took advantage of some of the preparatory work that's been done over the past week and a half in terms of axis of approach. I won't get into the particulars, but as the Secretary said, it was a U.S. strike. We made sure we were not in the same piece of airspace and sky. Aside from that,
So you just admitting that this wasn't Israel.
We'll take a couple more.
This was
Right there.
America.
Question to the Secretary first. Are you
And America
concerned
alone.
whatsoever now about the reaction from U.S. allies?
They gonna hold
particularly those
America
involved?
accountable.
And to the Chairman, if I may.
They gonna fuck with
I understand
Israel
you don't
still
want to
too.
speak to specific assets,
But now they finna
measures,
fuck
but
with
do you
us.
anticipate at least having to bring in any further assets from other theaters to aid in force protection over the coming days?
We certainly understand the challenges of allies in the region, and we have been respectful and in working in collaboration with them as it pertains to basing and sensitivities there. Ultimately, they've got a lot of assets and people in those locations also where American troops are co-located. So that's a consideration of ours. We've been in close consultation with them, and we appreciate the support that we have got.
Thanks for the question on sort of the global picture, and as you know, that's one of my jobs is to look globally at the entire range of challenges. We are always carefully considering our force posture around the world and then offering options to the Secretary and to the President. I won't comment on any future things, but the American people should know that we carefully consider those moves around the world and try to modulate as needed our force structure in the region.
Absolutely. Yeah, right here.
What communications are being sent to the Iranians right now, and is there any possibility of diplomacy now or in the coming days?
I can only confirm that there are both public and private messages being directly delivered to the Iranians in multiple channels, giving them every opportunity to come to the table. They understand precisely what the American position is, precisely what steps they can take to allow for peace, and we hope they do so. Yes?
The president may not want an open-ended conflict. The Iranians may disagree. Are you prepared for a protracted one?
Well, anything can happen in conflict, we acknowledge that, but the scope of this was intentionally limited. That's the message that we're sending. With the capabilities of the American military, nearly unlimited.
So take this
Iran,
punch.
in that sense, has a choice.
But don't punch back.
To them, this is nuclear sites, this is nuclear capabilities, this is the line that
That's
the
what
president
bullies
set.
do.
And we set that back. Now is the time to come forward for peace, but we...
And bullies always
one of
get
the
their
takeaways from
comeuppance.
this as well is the unprecedented level of ongoing cooperation. I can't
When you
speak
run
highly
across the
enough of
wrong
chairman
motherfucking victim.
and his staff and General Kurilla in CENTCOM, what they've done.
And American
around the
bully is
corner,
about to get
the
their ass
position
whooped.
to understand how an operation like this comes together. The scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away. of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time. And I think Tehran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future, and we certainly hope they take the path.
Make sure you got that DEI in there, right? Surprised you didn't say our white boy.
How this building operated, of the precision, the sensitivity, and the professionalism of the troops involved in this effort. I will take one more. We'll take one more question. Yes, right there.
Thank you.
Good, because you ain't saying shit anyway.
Concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003.
WMD.
Unquote. So what new
Saddam
intelligence does the
Hussein.
U.S. have since then?
George W.
The
Bush.
Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons.
All the same
Does
game.
this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
To reach U.S.
The
objectives
president's made it very clear.
around the world.
All of the intelligence, all of the information.
And we'll use any
come to the
excuse
conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat.
in any proxy
And was willing to take this precision
to
operation
justify
to neutralize that threat in order to
our
advance
actions.
American national interests, reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense.
And we're
of
gonna
our
pay
sovereign
for
allies.
it.
So he looked at all of it, understood the nature of the threat,
We're
and
gonna
took
pay
bold
for it.
action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief. That's all we've got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman.
clown show, amateur hour, whatever the fuck you want to call it, bro.
Dan Kane, General Dan Kane, laying out some new information
This is where we are.
about the
And this is who we are.
unprecedented U.S. military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities.
You see,